Welcome back and thanks for staying up with us. A migrant caravan might be making its way to the U.S.-Mexico border, but hundreds of Central Americans are already doing that on a daily basis. A recent wave of undocumented families is now surpassing numbers seen back in 2013 when the humanitarian crisis began. Our border team recently gained access with the Border Patrol and got a glimpse of what the border looks like lately.
All right, so where I have the majority of the group, they're kind of spread out.
That area is utilized to bring in family units and unaccompanied children. It's like the most highly used area. That's going to be the Rincon Village. Omar, copy Foxtrot 312.
It's a Border Patrol pursuit.
They'll be going through the brush, they'll be running, they'll try to take risks to avoid Border Patrol agents.
A group of 14 immigrants split up, trying to hide in the brush.
I'm going to cut that way.
Any misstep can give away the agent's position.
Seems like we lost them right now for a little bit, so we're just going to stay behind and wait for them to come back.
The helicopter provides an aerial view of the group, which is chased out to the end of the road. We caught up to two men, Roberto from Mexico and Jose from El Salvador. They both say they left their countries because of economic and security reasons.
Half of them are family units and unaccompanied children. Those are the individuals that will actually turn themselves in and give themselves up and draw from manpower to actually process these individuals. The other half will be individuals like these that are trying to actively evade apprehension.
So then this is a tactic that's well known to you all by the criminal organizations trying to smuggle either humans or drugs across to distract you guys.
It is a tactic, but moreover, it is a coordinated effort by that transnational criminal organization to get their commodity across.
Rincon Village is a corner of the Rio Grande Valley mostly designated as federal land. It is where these photos were taken by Border Patrol showing hundreds of people detained after having crossed the border. We tagged along with Border Patrol to witness this new wave of immigrants for ourselves and see if these numbers they're reporting are just an anomaly or a symptom.
The number of other than Mexican family units that we've apprehended has surpassed the number of other than Mexican family units that we saw in 2014.
Families like Maura Nájera and Olvin Avilas, who said they fled Honduras out of need. Maura says she was told by others that she would have to walk a little after crossing the border and that she would be helped by agents. I asked Olvin why not stay in Mexico instead. But Mexico isn't safe for them either, he said.
It's going to be a blue SUV. Should be coming out of a...
Calls come in of agents in neighboring Mission on a vehicle pursuit.
I have eyes on that vehicle right now.
We arrived at the scene where one innocent driver was hit by the fleeing suspects. Agents end up arresting 4 undocumented immigrants and their U.S. citizen driver. Back in Rincon Village, another group is being processed by agents. However, these are not Salvadorians, Guatemalans, or Hondurans, but Nicaraguans. They say they're fleeing an oppressive government and violence. It's been a difficult journey for Rosa Perez. Sleepless nights, hunger, long treks. But it's been worth it now that she's in the U.S., she says. Thanking God her life has been spared. However, remorseful, she had to leave her loved ones behind in Nicaragua. While agents continued to process the Nicaraguans, we checked out a popular landing area for smugglers. Lo and behold, another group being smuggled.
Just caught a group of undocumented immigrants that got off a raft and now they're just walking into the U.S.
By the end of our ride along, we encountered roughly 50 undocumented immigrants. The tally for the end of the workday, over 700 in all of the Rio Grande Valley sector. Fiscal year 2018 has seen a steady incline, with numbers swelling during the last few months. A total of 396,000 undocumented immigrants were apprehended along the southwest border, just below 2013 numbers when the Central American exodus began. That's still less than a third from the 1.6 million reported in the year 2000. Border Patrol points to the instability in Latin America fueling illegal immigration and funding the cartels, coupled with a flawed immigration system, and you have a cycle that shows no sign of breaking anytime soon. On the Texas-Mexico border, I'm Oscar Margain reporting.